It's episode 298 of The Platformers, a show about games and nerd culture, and I am your host, returning for the first time in the year of our Lord 2024, Brian Barnett.
And I am 2024 model Kris Cornelisse, aka Delphia.
I'm the 1989 model of Will Borger. Hi.
Oh, Kris is new and improved, and Will needs an oil change.
I proudly refuse to improve.
You'll find that it's not actually an improvement so much as my costs have gone up and very little has changed and corners have been cut. You know how it is.
Well, you know what? I want people to make shorter Krises with worse graphics and get paid more to work less on him, and I'm not kidding. So.
Yeah, instructions unclear. Still 6'1". What can you do?
Damn. Well, we did what we could. But anyways, the time has come. The time has come, and so have I, to this podcast.
Thanks, Nero.
We're gonna talk a lot.
We're not talking about Devil May Cry today, despite what you may think.
Yeah, no.
I mean, we could. You want to talk about Devil May Cry? I want to talk about Devil May Cry.
Could. I don't
Devil May Cry rules.
I don't have anything planned for it though.
But I don't have any thing specific beyond Devil May Cry good.
Yes,
true.
Devil May Cry good, and
yeah,
we could the interesting. Siggy Liam in the chat says consider me devil triggered. An appropriate response.
Did someone pull your devil trigger, or did it just happen naturally?
God, that song.
It does just happen to people, you know.
Yeah, that song is like 35% really good and like 7 and like in my ears as an earworm and like 65%. I cannot.
Can't take it too seriously.
I mean, but that's very Devil May Cry anyway. So like
it's extremely on brand.
Yes, it's very appropriate. Although the interesting thing about that is there's there are a lot of things on which Will and I actually have a lot of we jest and we give each other shit a lot of the times, but we actually align on like a lot of things.
Yes.
What we value in games and stuff like that. And
yes.
I think Devil May Cry is a very interesting topic on that kind of wavelength, because we are both Devil May Cry 4 enjoyers.
We are,
which is really, really good. Also, this is an issue on which we diverge a little bit, but I actually think DMC is pretty damn good too.
I think I gave that game a 7 when I reviewed it, the definitive edition, way many years ago.
Yeah,
but I think that's
I didn't mind
good.
I didn't mind the your different weapons being keys that unlocks the death of specific enemies. Like that didn't really bother me that much, because to me DMC was like the tone was like flawless. Like it nailed.
I got what they were going for, and I vibed with it. Like it was fine. Yeah. I think it's just, it's a good game. It's not a very good Devil May Cry is where the ultimate consensus, I think, probably lies.
Yeah, it's not a bad game. It's a pretty solid game. I just think, certain people expect certain things from Devil May Cry, and that game does not do them. And
meanwhile, it takes jabs at the old style, going, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah, and it's like, listen, I get that. Like, I get it. But also, like, this isn't your daddy's Dante is like, all right.
My daddy's Dante is pretty cool, though.
Yeah, but I don't know. Anyway, I think it's a good game. I think that they could have handled the way that they did stuff about that game a little bit better. That's all I'm going to say.
Also, I should say, as a known and just put out there DMC enjoyer, I have not played that game since it came out. Like, I played it when it came out, and I have not touched it again. But
it has been a while for me. Not when it came out, but yeah, it's been a while.
But
it's been a hot second.
I'm also gonna say, if you're gonna create a new character for Devil May Cry, you're gonna give him a grappling hook, essentially, and you're going to have them voiced by Johnny Young Bosch, that's going to be my favorite one. That's just how it is. Like, I do not care. So.
Hard to go wrong.
You put my man Johnny Young Bosch in anything, I'm going to dig it.
Let me tell you about Armored Core.
Is he?
Yeah, that's. I was about to
Yes.
segue that, actually. Yeah.
Damn.
He's in it very briefly, and you fucking gun him down.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
I heard about this. Yeah. I think you talked about this in your review of it. Will.
Yes,
you did mention.
I think we actually had a podcast potential title that was, and I just killed Johnny Young Bosch. Or something along
yeah,
those lines.
that sounds right. That sounds right. Well,
Anyway, you too buy Armored Core 6, and you too can kill Johnny Young Bosch.
I don't want to. I want to cradle him in my arms and give him some donuts and say it's okay. Knives really shouldn't.
You
have
could let
treated
him
me
blow
that
you
way.
up.
Love and peace.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, listen, I'm always here for some Trigun, but in this case, that kid had money that I needed, and
Yeah.
$60 billion double-dollar Armored Core.
yeah, ACs ain't cheap.
That's pretty good. Damn it.
But yeah, I suppose we could segue into the fact that since the last time we spoke, I have finally started Armored Core 6, and it rules, like as Will said it did, and everyone else has said it did, and yes, it rules. I love it. The PC port ain't great, at least on my specs, and the DRM is making that even worse because it has easy anti-cheat, and I think it's got Denuvo on there as well. So I've had to do all sorts of jump through all sorts of hoops in order to get the CPU to not be, instantly like bottlenecked and crash down to like 10 FPS. It's like, this is not good. And it has impacted my enjoyment of it somewhat, but once I, stabilize it a little bit, it's like, I need a new PC. I'm working on getting one. But in the interim, Armored Core 6 rules, and I'm having a blast with it.
Nice.
Yes,
Nice.
is good video game.
It's very good.
Briefly touching on games that we've been playing, but we don't really need to say a whole lot about. Right before we fired up the show, I was playing the game that Epic Games just gave away, which is
Free on Epic Games Store right now, if you can stomach the Epic Games Store.
Yeah, which I can. So, is 20 Minutes Till Dawn, which is a lot like Vampire Survivors. One of the things that I like about it is that you're making a lot more decisions a lot more quickly. And you don't have to last 30 minutes. You only have to last 20 minutes. And it's just real simple.
I always last
There's a boss
30
fight
minutes,
at the
baby.
end, though.
Yeah. That I'm not gonna go down that road. Oh my
Listen,
God.
you opened that up, and
It's true.
I think
It's
I think
true.
it'd be irresponsible on this podcast.
Of you, yes. It would be irresponsible of you to let that go uncommented.
Set them up,
on-
knock them down. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
Brian is acting like in another scenario where someone else had said you get the last 20 minutes. He would not have done the exact same thing. Viewer, he is lying to you.
I am not acting like that. I am acting like a person for whom a lot of stuff that I should not have said popped into my head, and I almost said it. So that was me talking myself out of putting way too much information on this podcast.
But
Yes.
Anyways. Not that I wouldn't do it because you guys know I'll say anything, but Anyways.
For the benefit of others,
For the
or
benefit-
other people who may be speaking on that, behalf.
Yes, for the
it's best
benefit
not
and
to.
comfort of other people. Yes. So, anyways, 20 Minutes to Dawn is super, super fun, and I really dig it, and it's free probably until tomorrow. So by the time you're listening to this podcast, I don't know that it's going to be still up. If you're watching the stream, then it is.
Yes.
But also, it's only...
Failing
it's
that,
only-
it's also like $5 on
is,
Steam
yeah.
if you need it, and it's currently on sale for even less. So
Yeah, it's $5, and it's pretty good if you're looking for Vampire Survivors, because I talked about the emergency meeting,
the Amogus
update.
one,
Yeah, lately, which is good. But if you're looking for like something a little bit different, but that still kind of hits on those same vibes, and I think meaningfully requires more input. You're not just moving around, you're also aiming. So it is actually a twin stick game. So if you want something with it, like where you engage a little bit more, where like you'll be firing guns and then you'll have to reload your guns, or it'll just auto reload. But while you're firing, you move a little bit more slowly. So there's more, it's more demanding of you. And you get to make more interesting decisions more often, which I really like. So, anyways.
As opposed to Vampire Survivors, which is just noise and dopamine.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah. Not as much dopamine in this game, but it is more of it's more fun, I think.
I like
the aesthetic is really neat. Yeah. Loud noise and dopamine is a good combination.
Yeah. Not that there's anything wrong with that, as they say. But yeah. So I dig that. That's, one of the first games that I played this year. Will.
Yes.
You started playing a game today that I've been putting a bunch of hours into. I think I actually have like 20-something hours, maybe 30.
27 hours. I saw it on Steam when I fired it up. I was like, oh, I'm behind.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've been really digging. Friend of the show, Ronnie Barrier, gifted me with a wonderful Christmas gift of one Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising. And,
big same. Thank you, Ronnie.
He's a fucking champion. And it's super, super fun. I love it. I've been playing a couple things that we will talk about later. And then I've basically, when I'm at my computer, there's like a 50% chance that I'm playing Granblue right now.
Yeah, it does seem to be taking off certainly more than the initial release did, which leads me into the next point of how much has changed since that.
Quite a bit, actually. Quite a bit. Now, I did not play the first one, so I only have secondhand information on what has changed. But they added the bravery point system to the game. So Granblue Fantasy is like a gacha game, I think, on mobile. And this is a joint venture from Cygames and developed by Arc System Works, the makers of Will and my favorite fighting games that have ever been made. Pick
all
your
of them.
Freaking flavor, basically.
We're not specifying, it's just all of them.
Basically all of them.
Yes.
Blaze Blue, Guilty Gear, Dragon Ball, and now Persona 4 Arena, and now Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising. Specifically the Rising version. So basically they added a system to the game where you have 3 pips above your health bar, and these are your bravery points. And,
little diamonds.
Yeah, cute little diamonds. And if somebody is pressuring you, if you're blocking, you just hit Y and B on an Xbox controller, and you will do a guard cancel, and it will blast them off of you. And you'll get to, and if they block it, now Will, you may not be aware of this. If they block your guard cancel, you're +6. So even if they block it is still your turn. And if they get hit by it, they get sent like full screen. So it's really good.
That seems extremely strong.
It is extremely strong. And the trade-off is that you need to use so if somebody does, when you do it while you're blocking, it's a guard cancel. You can also do it while you're doing a block string against somebody else, at which point it is called a raging strike, which is a guard crush. If you hit them with that, which if they're blocking, they are going to get hit with that. They can spot dodge it and stuff, but if they get hit with that, they get totally opened up. It's a free hit. Well, not free. And you can combo after it by spending 25 meter and hitting that button combination again. The trade-off is that when you have either 1 or 0 bravery points, you take more damage. And those don't come back unless you land a super, which costs 100 meter. And then that will give you back 1 of your bravery points and take 1 away from your enemy.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You get bravery points back between rounds.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Which is really nice.
Yeah.
So, so there are...
Use your tools and use them frequently.
Yeah, so, but because of that, if you land like a regular hit, you can extend that. So like, for example, if I hit somebody with a light attack and I'm close enough to them where I can do the like auto combo like you can in Dragon Ball, then you can do the 3 hits there and then do Raging Strike and then do like Raging Rush and then do 3 more hits into a special. So characters' abilities to convert into reliable damage are way higher than they were previously, which means that character strength is also higher in this game than it was in previous games. And it makes things more balanced because it isn't just characters that convert well that have good, reliable damage. If you want to spend your bravery points, everybody can have pretty respectable damage. And then they also added like ultimate versions of skills that have like pretty crazy effects, some of them. So I play Zeta and Seox. So Zeta has the ability to do a beam, and it is, I have a type apparently. Like Luke in Street Fighter, it is one of the slowest projectiles in the game, but it travels almost instantly across the screen. So it's really easy to punish, but if they don't have a read that you're going to do it, it's really good for like Fireball Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Her ultimate version costs 25 meter, and it will also get a wall bounce. And if I have another amount of meter that I can spend on another special ability, I can do her special like lunging attack. So I can actually hit from full screen and then close the gap, get into a combo, and get people really, really close to the corner from anywhere. So she's very similar to like Teen Gohan in that way, where like I can hit somebody, do a bombo across the screen, and it does like a lot of damage. Like if you hit with 2 of those, you have to have like a lot of meter to do it. You have to have at least, you have to have 75 out of 100 meter to do this, but you can do that and get people into the corner and have them take 60+% damage.
It's still something they need to at least respect.
From full screen. Yeah. And there's also a version of that she can do from the air, which means that I can bait anti-air attempts with that. And then there's Seox, who has a fireball that goes full screen, and if he holds it, he trades places with it. So kind of like Krillin from there. And he's also got like Yamcha's Wolfang Fist kind of Rekka series. He can also do stuff like he has, Will, you'll appreciate this. Seox has Riot Stamp.
Nah.
Except it's plus, so, which is pretty cool.
Damn. What if Riot Stomp, but good?
Yeah. And he can cancel it to like fake out. So he's got a lot of cool stuff. He's super, super fast. And yeah, but there's a lot of stuff. And then Will is playing Siegfried. Like each one of these characters has just some absolute nonsense. So I don't know if you wanted to get into what your character is like in the game.
So admittedly, I've only played the game for like maybe an hour at this point, but it seems like Siegfried's nonsense is based. He has this I don't want to call it a stance. It's kind of a Rekka, where he does this one attack and then he has several different follow-ups for it. So he can do like an additional attack, he can do a parry, he can do a command grab, and it's just kind of like, all right, now you have to guess what I'm going to do. Because if you do nothing, then I'm going to throw you, right? So it's all about like conditioning. He has big damage and lots of range, and he can buff himself a lot, and he seems like a very easy-to-play character, which is good, because that's what I want to do. Big damage, easy. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So it's cool. It's the vibe that I got from it is that it's a very easy to pick up and play game. So if you're,
I think that was the intention. What with the original single button specials and cooldowns rather than meter management to start with.
Yeah.
And
and I think that a lot of that stuff is still there. So I think if you're into that, like if you've looked at a fighting game and you're like, this seems really complicated, like Granblue is probably a great way to just kind of learn the ropes, if you will, without having to worry about too much, while still having some neat stuff in it.
And one of the absolute best things about this game is that there is a free version that is available to everybody, and it has a free rotation of 4 characters.
Is that how it works? Okay.
Yeah, the main character is always available. So Gran is always one of the 4 characters. He's never going to rotate out. So you can always play Gran. And Gran is good.
He's blue. Double D, double die.
Yeah. He's quite good. In fact, he has 2 plus on block moves that chain into each other. So he has his, and that's another thing that they added in this game was, so Will, I don't know if you know this, you cannot dash block in this game. There is recovery on your dash. So
rest in peace, my neutral.
Yeah. But what they did to trade off from that is everybody has a dashing 6P that is plus on block.
Very nice.
They're all +1. And some of them are jump scares. So, but what a lot of people don't have is a 2M that's also plus. And Gran has both of those. So he can, the main character can literally do dashing forward light attack, B+, do crouching M, and hit you if you mashed, and then do that into another dashing 6L. And B+ again. And you just have to figure out how to beat it.
Respect it.
So, yeah, he's got a good fireball. He's got a neutral skip, like Gogeta Red. He's got a dashing boot where he just, like, kicks you right in the face. And it does a wall bounce in the corner. He does a lot of damage. So, and then there's other characters. I know Seox was free last week, which is when our buddy Acoustics was playing. He is a fellow Seox sophisticate, just like me. But yeah, so there are 4 characters that you can play, and you can just jump in. So I highly recommend people to just give it a try, because it's fun. I like it a lot.
It's very neat.
It's good stuff.
Seeing that there's a free version, then I may just pick that up at least to start, because I did play the base game. I got a free code of it way back and played a bit on PS4, but obviously had issues with netcode. Yeah, that's good, but I did have issues with like netcode and things like that. Plus, I'd rather play it on PC anyway. So
this one is crossplay and it has rollback.
Good, as it should be.
Rollback gods have blessed us,
and it's good. Like, it's good rollback. Like, I've played ranked. Like,
it's Oxys rollback, right?
Yeah.
It's good.
I've played over 100 matches online, and I've never had a problem ever. It's great.
Good.
So
that's very good.
I like it a lot. I'm excited to play more. And if you are out there and you want to play, hit me up. I'm trying to play everybody. So, oh my goodness. All right. What shall we talk about next? Kris, did you have something you wanted to touch on?
A few things. Obviously, I'm continuing the trudge. Well, not trudge, but the march through Rogue Trader, which I have been hinting at for the last couple of weeks. Is like, do we want to sit down and talk about Warhammer 40k and a big CRPG, or shall I just touch on and continue to say it good? So,
I mean, yeah.
Is it still good?
It's still good. I'm not super like I'm decent. What's my playtime on it? Like it's like I say I'm not that far into it. My playtime's going to be astonishingly huge.
This is like me with Baldur's Gate 3. I'm like,
oh jeez, yeah, okay.
I'm like in Act 2 or something. I checked it today. I'm about to cross 100 hours.
Yeah, so Rogue Trader has 5 chapters, I want to say. And I have basically full cleared all of 2 and I'm right on the cusp of 3. I am at 63 hours.
Jeez.
Big video game.
Again, big video game, as is typical of the Owlcat CRPGs. But again, I was thorough. I checked everything. I'm taking my time with it, doing all that stuff. But yeah, it's big and it is buggy and janky, as is true of Owlcat, because they aim well above what they're capable of. And that's been true for their last couple of games. Like, both Pathfinder games were just like very ambitious, very big, very huge in scale for what the team was like in terms of scope and scale and experience and such. And they've gotten better as they go along, but the bugs and such remain. And yeah, but they're chipping away at it. Like, there's been a couple of bug fix patches and such already that have cleared up a few issues I had. And yeah, but in general, it's it's good. It's the combat is actually turn-based, as it should be now, because in the Pathfinder games, it was real-time with pause by default, but you had a tactical, like, turn-based mode, which felt a lot better, but there is so much combat in that game that you're best off just doing real-time with pause and then switching it for, like, the big major fights. Here, it's just there's less individual fights, but they're all, turn-based tactical stuff, and yeah, it's much better for it. I feel like the gameplay is a hell of a lot better just for that kind of tactics options and such.
Mm.
Beyond that, yeah, it's Warhammer 40k, so it is ridiculous, over the top, excessive. Just that entire setting is about as extra as it gets. There's no way to describe it otherwise. But yeah, it looks good, plays good, written pretty good so far, and yeah, I'm having a good time with it. I want to see how it concludes.
Awesome.
Nice.
I enjoyed what I got to see of that game at PAX West, so I believe it.
Yeah, solid CRPG, which is good, and obviously a lot of people are just comparing it to Baldur's Gate 3, unfavorably, unfairly, all the usual such, but, I think it deserves to, stand on its own 2 feet, see, be judged and be looked at for it, and I still don't think Baldur's Gate 3 is as great as everybody thinks it is, so, that's me also being defensive in that regard. Play more CRPGs, people, seriously.
I agree with you there.
Yeah.
I agree with you there. But speaking of
But this was a segue for you.
Yeah, speaking of Baldur's Gate 3, Will and I have been playing this game. And so I've been playing it because I finished the other thing that was really occupying my mind and my time, which is Alan Wake, which I will get to later. And
for now, we Alan sleep.
Also, one thing I love is that, so I'm going to talk about this later, but because you said Alan Wake and Alan sleep, I have to do it now. So my wife is, according to one Kris Shriver, wife of the century, because while I missed the pre-order, my wife full-on Christmas storied me on Christmas morning and gave me several very cool presents, which may not sound cool at first, but they definitely hit me right where I live. She got me some cool stuff, but it wasn't what I wanted. And then she was like, did you, she was smiling at me and said, did you get everything that you wanted? And I, in a very honest moment, I said, no. And she said, well, why don't you look over there? And she pointed to the film shelf, and lo and behold, she got me a yellow Analogue Pocket, just the one that I wanted. Because growing up, I had a yellow Game Boy Color, and it was with me everywhere. I played this thing for thousands of hours, and I missed the pre-order for these, and I looked at the regular ones that they offer, the black and white ones, and I was like, I feel nothing for you. It's yellow or nothing. And she crushed
Transparent
it.
or die, baby.
And I don't know if you see right there.
Pokemon Yellow.
Got Pokemon Yellow in the back. And it's a beautiful color match right there. Oh, let's just go. Anyways, so
it's like they knew.
When you hit the button to sleep, it says sleep, and when you click the button for power, it just says wake. And every time I see that, I hear wake, like in the dark place in Alan Wake. And so I think of that every time, because you hear a shadow say wake 1,000 times in that game.
True.
But anyways, not talking about Alan Wake, not talking about the delightful Analogue Pocket. Baldur's Gate 3. So once I finished Alan Wake 2, I was playing the Pocket and playing some games on there and just kind of vibing and watching Christmas movies and stuff. And then I had one of my favorite podcasting groups just launched a show all about Baldur's Gate 3. And so, because I generally like the way that they think about things and break things down, I listened to some of it and I was like, and I started getting that gnawing in the back of my mind of I feel like I'm ready. I feel like I'm ready to try it again.
I'm ready to be heard again, said Brian.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And I went back in and I had a very frustrating moment where I did a fight. So long story short, I made a decision in Act 2 that Chris, I'm borderline don't think the developer should let you make this choice, because it affects things so heinously. Like I'm almost.
Is this about whether or not to get the moon lantern, or
Yes. I almost am to the point. Like it so tanked my desire to play this game. It took me from like 100 miles an hour to like a dead fucking stop in log jam traffic.
It is like so easy to just fuck up Act 2 for yourself.
Yeah.
And
then
having now experienced the other side of it, I'm like, why would you do this?
Yeah. And so I went back and I fixed that, but I had to sacrifice 10 hours of game time, which is huge. And so I went back and I fixed it. And then unbeknownst to me, I took a chance and I fixed it even more and I made it even better for myself. So like, I'm pretty sure at this moment I've done like the absolute optimal thing, just accidentally, which is great. It's great when you experiment and happen into something really fantastic like that. Previously, it was so painful. But I went back into the game, and the first thing that I did was I went to a place that I previously had finished and got into a fight. And I was in the fight for what felt like 20 minutes. And then 2 of my characters died. And I was like, all right, so I have to load. And then I have to do another fight. I have to do this fight again and do 20 minutes. And what if I die again? And it just felt like such an insulting waste of my time that I was like, I'm done. And then I came back this time after kind of sitting on it and thinking about it for a while. And I was like, you know what? Fuck what I did before. I'm not doing that over again. I'm just going to go someplace I've never been. And I did that stuff before. I know that there's equipment and stuff that I could use there. There's money I could use there. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm just going to go to a new place and do something new.
It becomes quite easy, I find, later on. So you really don't need it.
Yeah. And that worked. So I went to a place that I'd never been able to go before. And I was like, oh, okay. All right. And I started like poking around and stuff like that. And then I ran into a bug where I can't interact with anything unless I right click on it and hit like open or examine or whatever. And I'm like, all right, whatever. So I have to figure out how to fix that. But like, I'll try to highlight like containers or something and I can't like left click on them to open them. And I don't know if that's like, it's gotta be,
I don't think it's intended. Yeah.
Yeah. It's gotta be a game. Cause I was thinking maybe it's a mouse issue, but I don't think it is because, there's no like,
well, if it works fine on everything else, and yeah.
I mean, I've had like a sticky like mouse thing where like sometimes I'll have to like plink all 3 of my mouse keys to like get them to like work again. So, but then I looked it up and this is apparently an issue where like you can't interact with items or something. Some people had it where like they couldn't talk to anyone, and I'm like, oh shit, like I haven't had that problem because like I went to the vendor and I needed to sell some stuff. I just right clicked on them and then said talk and it was fine. So that hasn't been that big of a deal, but I've been having more fun. Also because of some of the stuff that I've kind of heard from people that have played the game and have played it maybe multiple times, I've decided I'm not going to try to do everything in one run the way that I was going to try to do before.
Yeah, completionist run is a good way to burn out real hard.
Well, not even that. I just was like, I need to get all the characters that I'm interested in a team, even if they don't really make sense. And now I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to bench the evil people and I'm going to
save it for another run.
And my second run is going to be a Dark Urge run. And then I'm going to go with all the evil people and we're going to see what happens. So now I'm like, all right, I'm not even going to try to make Asterion work. It's just going to be me and Karlach and Will and like I was trying to get Halson, but he like won't group up with me. So I've got Gale until he does.
Yeah, you have to complete his full quest in Act 2. He doesn't join until quite late.
Yeah. Is it like Towers related?
Yeah, I think you get him for the end part of Towers.
Because he's in my camp. He just won't team up with me.
Like he'll hang around, but you got to do like that whole thing to sort out, his side of the quest in order to unfuck the Shadowlands, basically.
Okay. All right. Okay, cool. Because then I was like, that would actually be good because then I could bench Shadowheart and have Halson. And then have like me, Halson, Karlach, and Will, and like have the good squad,
Yeah.
But You can also mod it to have more characters in your party, but I'm just like, whatever. It's whatever.
Yeah, there are some of those that look ridiculously fun.
Yeah.
Completely broken, but like, whatever. Who cares?
Yeah, because when I lost that time, I was like, "Fuck it, load me up." Like, because I was looking back on screenshots and I was like, "Why does this feel so cramped to me?" And it's because in Baldur's Gate 2, you can play with 6 people in your party, so it's just like having 4 is just like I'm missing out on like a lot of conversation and stuff. So it just feels kind of lonely. But anyways,
you still have the conversation in the camp at the very least. There's that.
Yeah,
going.
which is nice. But anyways, so I've. My appetite has kind of been, let grow a little bit. And I think I will also jump into more Jedi Survivor soon, but I don't know. That is more like a word of mouth thing. Like some people have talked about that, like they talk about Andor, where they're like, this is one of the best Star Wars things that's been made recently. And like, I don't know. I still have.
I do hear that. The
Wars.
only problem is just the PC port is garbage. So
yeah, but I have it on Series X, so like I wouldn't even have to deal with that.
There you go. I have it on PC, so I'll let you know how that goes when I get around to it. But yeah, but I really liked Fallen Order, so I'm keen to get to Survivor at some point.
Yeah,
but is it like Game of the Year contender? Again, this is what I'm weighing it up, right? So I've got a couple of weeks left. It's like play the games that I really want to at least touch on for Game of the Year. Otherwise, who cares? Play what I want to play.
Yeah. Granblue and playing retro games on the Pocket has taken a lot of my time, but I do actually, at this point, I do kind of want to try to push forward on Baldur's Gate 3. And then maybe a lower priority than that, Jedi Survivor, if I have time. But I'm pretty good on what the Game of the Year conversation is going to be like for me. But Will, I wanted to know, how much have you been playing Baldur's Gate, and what are you thinking?
So I've been playing probably like, actually I can tell you how much time this week. I've been playing it in co-op. I'm not playing that game by myself. So
I've heard that is also super, super fun.
It is a lot of fun, yes.
So I think I've played about, I don't know, probably like 10, 12 hours this week.
Nice.
Still in Act 1. Just got done killing a bunch of people in the Goblin camp.
Nice.
As you do.
Also was.
Did you push any of them into pits?
No.
I'm a pit enthusiast. At least I was back then.
We did push a big ass spider in the Underdark off of a ledge, and that just straight up killed it. That was really funny.
Oh damn, dude! I should have done that shit. That fight was fucking hard.
Yeah, we did that, and it was like, man, we're kind of getting wrecked here. And then it was like, what if we did this? What if we just pushed it off the edge and it died? It was great. Wow. So we did that. We did the hag. We did a bunch of like side quest stuff. And I am more positive on it than I was before, because I think, like the actual game of D&D, once you get more stuff, it becomes more fun. But the first few levels, you're like, I have one action that I can do.
Yeah.
Let me do my one action. So
what class are you playing?
I am playing Ranger.
Okay, cool.
So what's the squad? What's the full assembly?
So right now, the squad is me as a Gloomstalker Ranger, my buddy who is a druid of some kind, I can't remember, Karlach, and Shadowheart.
Nice.
Fair. Good rounded set.
Yeah, so we do a little bit of everything. We hit pretty hard. Life is good. However, it's also... I think a lot of my criticisms with the game are still stand. Like, I don't think it's as well written as everybody thinks it is. And I think I've kind of zeroed in on why. At least initially, the game has, like, no plot.
Yeah.
Other than there is a tadpole in your head and you need to get it out. But it has, like, no guiding thing. And it's just like, okay. And then you just kind of meet up with these people because it's like, oh, you also have a tadpole in your head. You want to hang out?
Yeah, it's like vague allusions to, something more, but it doesn't really come into the fore until you get a little bit further.
Yeah. I mean, I get that it's there, but it's also like, there's not a lot pushing you forward initially. So you're just kind of like, I guess I'll just fuck around and see what happens.
Yeah.
Like, what can I run into? And so far, a lot of my time with it...
So.
Yeah, but at least in D&D, I feel like I had an overarching motivation. Like, hey, we want you to go do this thing, right? Even if it was a very basic like quest, and it had more like an end, like an end goal than get the tadpole out of your head. There was like an idea of what the thing was and like what an accomplishment of that thing would look like.
Yeah. Which,
and this
again, and I know that Kris and I have waxed philosophical about this, is something that Baldur's Gate 2 does to astonishing
and Baldur's Gate 1 as well, really.
Right out of the gate. Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, they pretty much immediately, there is a setup for the overarching plot and such, but then there is a immediate goal where it's like, go here, you'll get more information, you'll meet some people.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, oh yeah, you can come with us. We're going to do this. We think it's related. So you go down there and then you do that. And then it's like, well, there's a big conspiracy here. Get involved. Oh, same conspiracy. There you go. All the way up to Baldur's Gate. That's Baldur's Gate 1.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, and I think it's like, it feels very Monster of the Week-ish to me so far, where it's like, oh, go help the druids. There's a hag. Also,
it's the modern Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, kind of, or like an episode of Supernatural or something, right? Where it's like, here's the monster, let's go kill it, and it's like, that's fine. But also like, I am enjoying it largely because I'm playing it with one of my best friends, and were I not doing that, I think I would have stopped.
Yeah.
Like, I like Karlach a lot. I think she's great. I'm enjoying Astarion. I'm enjoying Gale. I like Will a lot. Like, I'm enjoying a lot of these characters. Lae'zel's kind of a bitch.
Yeah. She's got some growing to do, but
allegedly she gets better, and she has gotten a little bit better, but it's just like, why are you so rude? Like,
because she's an alien frog. Like, what do you want from her?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I did have a very superficial relationship with her, and she did get better. She was my girlfriend before the real girlfriend.
Yeah, I feel like I could have done that, but I was like, no, I'm saving myself for Karlach.
Dude, Karlach full on told me to do it, which was the crazy thing. She's like, look, I can't touch you. Like, go do your stuff. Like, it's fine.
I just would have felt bad. Anyway.
I was like, damn. All right.
So, like, but I don't think these characters by themselves, at least so far where I am, would like compel me to play the game by themselves.
Yeah.
Like, I think they're pretty decently written. I think they're voice acted incredibly well and animated incredibly well. But I don't know. I see the appeal of the game. I feel like it takes a really long time to get going. I feel like it takes a really long time to let you know what like is going on. And I feel like that you don't have enough interaction with the characters in a meaningful sense for long enough. If you're not like used to what a CRPG is, you're just gonna be like, I'm done, right?
Yeah.
Or like if you're not playing it with a friend.
I feel like there's a degree to which it's kind of, at least on that front, where I feel like it's kind of like not the platonic ideal, but like kind of just a better, more focused Skyrim. If you know what I mean? Where it's like, they do kind of just plop you down in this world with not a whole lot of an idea of what to do. And I think the idea on the development side of it is that we're going to put you down in this world. We've given you enough interesting tidbits that like you kind of have some ideas to go on, and then you're just going to walk in a direction until something kind of grabs you by the lapels, and then you just follow that where you will. And I feel like it works pretty well on that front. Like you talked about going to like the Grove and having people kind of talking about stuff. It does feel very much like all roads lead to Baldur's Gate, which is fine. Like that's they said the name of the game, but like everybody whose home isn't the Grove is like, yeah, we're on our way to Baldur's Gate. Like it's very obvious that like if you like, even if you didn't have an idea of what you were gonna do, you could just be like, oh, you guys are going to Baldur's Gate? I guess maybe I'll make my way there or something. You know what I mean? Like it's an idea of something that you can do, but
on second thought, let's not go to Baldur's Gate. It's just a silly place.
Yeah.
Brave Sir Robin ran away.
I didn't. I did not.
Bravely ran away.
I did no such thing.
When
Good
danger
film.
reared its ugly head, he bravely turned his tail and fled.
Stop it. I did not.
Anyways.
Are you guys having fun doing Shakespeare in the Park?
Absolutely.
Siggy Liam in the chat said, you're an unemployed fantasy equivalent of the unaliving squad. Your current motivation can be summed up as current objective, survive.
Yeah, and it's like, that's cool, but also, like, I don't know. Again, like, I don't think, from a fiction writing standpoint, plot needs to be the primary thing. I think a lot of great stories are character-driven, but I do think you need some inkling of, like, a plot. Right? And right now, the game does not have a plot besides you have tadpoles in your head. You need to get them out.
Yeah, and I think that, and Will can definitely give his 2 cents about this, but I feel like any sort of goal or plot or something that is about avoiding something isn't necessarily as good as like a positive goal. You know what I mean? Like a negative goal.
Yeah.
Like evading something, avoiding something. There are some instances where that is good, but like, I mean, you can take a look at, it's not really the goal. It's part of the goal, but like the thing that springs to mind is like Prince of Persia, the Warrior Within, where like a big part of that game is avoiding the Dahaka. Like he's got a revenge reason to be on this island, but also like he's been through some shit and he needs to stay alive and stay away from the Dahaka. And that's like...
The thing is hunting him. He can't deal with it. Gotta fucking run. Gotta deal with it. Gotta find a way to deal with it.
He just has to get away. You know what I mean? So like, but then again, that's only part of the goal. And, you know.
Yeah, you have other things that you're doing, and then the Dahaka shows up and you're like, oh, fuck. And then you have to, then you got to do your thing. And those are really cool and memorable sequences. I think the problem here is like, there is no urgency in this case whatsoever because, like, you don't have... Because it's very clear, like, you guys should have turned into Mind Flayers by now, but you're not. Why? Don't know! So it's just like, yeah, you can just fuck around, and it's like, okay, well, now that the motivation for finding a cure is basically non-existent, because I've learned that the game is going to accommodate me every possible way that I want it to, right? And not rush me. I guess I'll just go do the Monster of the Week thing. And... Again, I get it. I like the characters, but like I just I am waiting for something to happen.
You will find out why. You will find out why soon.
Yeah.
And then that does kind of give a bit
But
more...
I do understand. At the moment, you have the stick, the carrot's not really inside.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, you gotta avoid this thing. Okay. Yeah. Is there anything else I can do other than avoid this thing? No.
Okay. You can talk to the druids about it. They say, can't help you. Maybe that guy can help you.
Yeah,
talk to him. He's like, oh, fuck. No idea, but you should be dead by now. You're not, so...
Sorry.
Yeah. Siggy Liam in the chat says, seeking out a great evil to vanquish makes you feel initiative and drive, i.e. Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous. The day-to-day of how am I going to survive getting eaten by demons or my own starving men is honestly more the flavor of the Grand Crusade, which I think is fair. And also, that's a different genre of game. Like that is a whole, like this War of Mine or Frostpunk or something. It's like, don't die. And that like is the game. And then mechanically,
although Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous is genuinely like an equivalent CRPG, and I get where that's coming from. It's like straight off the gate. It's like, by the way, demon invasion. Here is Descari. He's big. He cuts a dragon's head off in a single blow. You're like, oh fuck, okay. And it's like, yeah, no. Suddenly, there's powers and shit, and you have to help the crusade against that because city's being destroyed and it's marching, and it's like, okay, cool. It's immediate and it's instant and it's way above you, but you can still see how it affects you and where you got to march towards in the distance. So I think it does a better job of the setup in that regard than Baldur's Gate 3, which again, a little bit more fucking around, which is fine to a point.
I do think it's also an interesting point to consider the way that this is similar to the intro of Divinity Original Sin 2, which is you're on a ship at the beginning of the game and you have to get something off of you or out of you. Like, you have to get the source caller, you have to get rid of it. And the difference is that you can get rid of the source caller really early.
And in multiple different ways.
Yeah. And I don't know about you guys, but I've tried to get this tadpole out like 2 or 3 different ways and nothing has worked. So, yeah, no, literally, I've tried 3 different ways.
I let the bard take an ice pick to my eye. Like,
I've tried
everything.
Yeah, I tried to.
That is a very uncomfortable scene, just saying.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a good game. I understand why everybody loves it. If I didn't have a friend to play it with, I wouldn't have stuck with it. And the way people talk about it makes me feel like it's going to do my taxes, rub my feet, pay my bills, make me nachos, and clean my apartment. And while also being a really good video game, and it maybe just makes me nachos. Like,
one thing I think is
spicy nachos with Karlach flavor
and worthy of praise is that, like, I don't know if you've seen any of these like Twitter posts where it's just like people are talking about how this game is good, and there was somebody literally just talking about the Goblin mission, like the Goblin versus Grove mission, and they were talking about there's one person who just like went around and picked up a bunch of explosive barrels and just planted them in a long chain through the base and then just blew it the fuck up. There's somebody who talked their way in and caused like a spider uprising. There's one who they went through like 15 different ways to do this mission. And they're like, what other game can you do that? And that is true. There are not many
Divinity
games.
Original Sin 2.
Yeah.
Sometimes Wasteland 3.
But you could count them on like 2 hands. Like the number of games you can do this sort of shit with. And how many of the games where you can do that shit are on console? And then it's like one hand with most of the fingers left over. You know, like and
that's fine. And like, again, for people who have never played a CRPG before, I am 100% understanding of why you love it like this, right? But I have played a CRPG before, and I don't see it. I'm sorry. I just don't see it.
Like, for all the time I spend talking the negativity here, because there is more to discuss or whatever, there's heaps of positives to the game. I'm not going to say it's not a good game. It's not great in many areas, and I've had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
There are just a lot of areas where it could do with improvement, and the further along it goes, the more and more busted it gets. Because the reason all that reactivity, all the various options and such are there in the Goblin Camp for ways to do it, that's because we had 3 years to test that for them and come up with creative ways to fuck around with it that they then either facilitated or adjusted it because it was all in early access, and that's all we did for 3 years. But when you get out of the areas that were in early access, aka Act 2 and 3, then it all starts to go to shit more and more. There's less options. It's much easier to screw yourself over, like with the Moonland thing. And then the consistency of the plot really falls apart in Act 3, because at that point, the characters are not consistent. They are exactly how you want them to be, and they adjust based on that. Every playthrough, the same character will be completely different for reasons that are just like, well, we need to move the plot along in this way. It's like, no, he's a bad guy now. He has nothing to him. Because you don't want him to be a good guy? Okay, fine. You want to be a good guy? Yeah, absolute bro. You know, this kind of thing. And it becomes impossible to have deep conversations about certain Act 3 characters because of that. Because no one's going to see the same stuff. Because it's just not there. There's no consistent through line except what is going on in that playthrough. And it becomes a real mess. A buggy mess, in fact. So, yeah.
I'm pretty sure my version of the game has a memory leak. Because the longer it runs, the more messed up it gets until I restart it.
The longer Baldur's Gate 3 remains on Earth, the stronger it will become.
Yeah, no, it actually, like, starts to get really bad. And, like, it's not bad initially, but the longer the game runs, the worse it gets.
T-posing and stuff?
T-posing, characters not animating properly, characters not animating during dialogue, dialogue not reacting properly, dialogue taking a really long to load, characters not walking properly.
So weird.
Yeah, I've had similar issues. Again, mostly in Act 3 is where a lot of this crops up because that place is just unoptimized as fuck, even after 4 major patches. But yeah.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, and like, you know, I people are gonna be like, oh, you guys have been really mean to it. I want to finish the game. Like, I want to see what happens. I like the characters. You know, mostly I spend most of my time playing that game talking about how much I love Karlach. But
Yeah, same.
But I do think it's really helped my opinion of it that I've basically had a tour guide who has beaten the game before. I was like, oh, we should go do this. Because if I didn't have someone who was like, oh, we should go do this, I would be like, yeah, I guess I'll just pick a direction and walk.
We should do this. We should, look at this particular encounter. We should fuck around with this one. I want to see your reaction to this. This helps a lot.
Yeah, it does. And it makes the game more fun because then I don't have to worry about like, oh, well, there's no like through line here for me to get invested in, so I guess we'll just pick a direction. You know, so it has been helpful.
I guess the druids need help. Let's go with that. Sure.
Yeah, I guess the druids need help. And then it's like, oh, we should do this thing. And it's like, oh, this thing is actually really cool. I'm glad you told me about this. But, you know, again.
A lot of stick, carrot still out of sight.
Yeah, basically. And I'm hoping that we get there sooner rather than later. So
yeah, I'm excited to see if I feel the same. But yeah, I totally agree. Siggy Liam says, we're mean because we care, though. We love BG3 and we want it to be great, and it can be better than what it is now. Absolutely true.
Yeah.
My
this is criticism in a nutshell.
Yes.
My biggest problems with the game are like easy fixes. Like, I want a camera that zooms out like at least twice as far as this one does. And it does that. Like, I literally have screenshots during certain fights where I'm like up on an elevated level and somebody's trying to shoot me from far away, and then it like zooms out and I'm like, that, give me that. Like, you're doing it right now. Just give me that all the time. And, just there's no option. There's no like selector like in previous games where it was like, oh, you can check how far away you can zoom, like your zoom distance. And it's like, that would fix a lot of problems that I have with this game because I can't fucking see where I'm going. Like, yeah. It's really dumb. I hate it, but.
Or the camera gets stuck in the environment, or like there's like a million little things. Yeah. And I don't hate the game. I don't think it's terrible. I don't think Laren is like hacks. I don't like any, people are going to say all kinds of things. It's like, oh, you're being mean. And it's like, no, I just like, I have really serious problems. I shouldn't have to restart the game every 2 hours. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, and our experience will be different from yours, and your experience will be different from ours. We all need to understand and respect that. But just as I'm willing to, be happy that people are enjoying this game and finding all that, it's like, cool, I wish I could feel that same thing. Here is why I don't. And here's what could be done, in future. Here's what others can learn from it, so on. The problem is a lot of these conversations just like, well, I liked it, so, or it made me feel things, so it's like, okay, but that's not criticism on good faith. I don't critique. If something bores me or I don't like it, I say it's bad and never talk about it again. But we keep talking about Baldur's Gate 3, right?
Yeah.
Because there's something to talk about every time.
It's because I want to love it because it's the sequel to my favorite game ever. Like,
but we can also talk about why Baldur's Gate 2 is, our joint favorite game, or one of, and why we think it's better or how it does things better or differently or so on and so forth. There's conversations to be had there, and that's criticism in a nutshell, right?
Yeah.
We're just talking about this shit.
Yeah. We want it to be good.
But we want it to be good.
Yep. And I think, I am excited to play more of it and see if my opinion changes, but I do, I don't know. It's not a game that if I was, like I said, if I wasn't playing it with a friend, I would not be playing it.
Yeah.
Completely understandable.
Yeah. It's good stuff. All right. Shall I take it back, or Will, you want to talk about something for a bit?
You can take it back, then I'll talk about the thing I want to talk about.
All right. I'm here to talk to you about one of the finest games that came out in the year of our Lord 2023. Alan Wake. This game, I beat it. I checked out the Final Draft stuff, which is New Game Plus. And I'm here to tell you.
Sam Lake did the face.
He did the face. And this is going to be something I'm going to talk about a lot on the Game of the Year episode. I'm just going to tell you that right now.
Yeah, I figured as much.
Please, because I'm not done with it yet. So please don't spoil it.
No. Just spoilies for the Game of the Year episode. I'm going to be talking about this game during it. It has surpassed Dead Space as my favorite horror game I've ever played. It is I mean, you guys know if you've been listening for a while, like I'm not a horror guy. And this game I don't actually feel is like, I don't know. I don't really feel like this game is very horror. I feel like it starts with a really strong, powerful, kind of upsetting opening. And I was concerned, but thankfully it didn't like lean on that foot too powerfully. So, and I really love what it does. I'm fascinated. The funny thing is like, I know everything that this game is doing and I still kind of want to play it again.
That's a good sign though. It's not relying on surprise or first time, shock value.
Yeah. It's just, He just
likes it, folks.
I just really like it. Like, we talked about when I played Alan Wake Remastered, we talked about my criticisms of that game. They fixed like literally every one of my problems with that game in this one. And even to the point where like I could have actually used maybe a little bit more combat in this game. But that's because I like what they did with it. I like what it does with storytelling. I found some mechanics that they have in the game like a little bit tedious, but also you kind of don't have to engage with them if you don't want to, I guess. I'm not going to say any more because that could get into spoiler territory, but I really like Will has sometimes said that there are games that really want to be movies that don't just like being games. Alan Wake is a game that loves that it is a
game. Yeah, it adores being a video game.
Yeah. Which it should.
This is important for so many games that are well acclaimed are just, could be done in other mediums without, missing a beat.
Yeah. And I think Alan Wake is better than almost all of those games, or maybe I would have to think like more deeply about it and for longer. Or it might be better than all of those games specifically because it does stuff that other mediums cannot replicate. Like a game could be a movie. There are games that are basically movies. There are games that are basically books. Games can be all of those things. A movie cannot do the things that Alan Wake 2 is doing. You cannot do that in a movie. And I think that all of those things that it does elevate it to a really excellent place. And I don't know if this is premature or not, but
here it comes. Here's the game of the year.
I'm inclined to add this to like my all-time pantheon.
All right.
Remedy don't miss.
Like this is, I mean, Control won my game of the year that game came out. That game is awesome.
Control slaps, yeah.
And the interesting thing is that Alan Wake 2 is a classic example of, specificity is the soul of wit. Like Control is a broad statement about a lot of things. It's universe building. It's all these sorts of things. Alan Wake I mean, and this is true of Alan Wake 1 as well, but it's definitely true of Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake 2 is focused on one thing. And that one thing, it's going to really dial in on. It's going to really kind of explore. And yes, that one thing has implications for the broader, like, Remedy universe, to be sure. But it's also just concerned with being what it is. And, we talk a lot about scope creep, and we talk a lot about games biting off more than they can chew, and we talk about games being too long. And when I talked about Alan Wake Remastered, I said, like, maybe conservatively you could get rid of like 30% of this game, or maybe even half of it. It just felt so padded. And this game doesn't feel like that at all. There's a lot of really cool stuff. There's a little bit of that where I was like, I like what you're doing here. I feel like maybe there's a more deft way to do that, but that happened pretty rarely. And when it is hitting, which is almost all the time, it's hitting pretty hard. It's pretty great. Anyways, I think it's fantastic. I played tons of it. Probably gonna play it again at some point, like maybe a few months down the road, maybe after I'm done with Baldur's Gate and Jedi Survivor and whatever else I'm trying to get up to at the time. But hot damn, if you have not played Alan Wake 2, like I played Alan Wake Remastered so I could play this because people were talking about this, and I will tell you, it is worth it. Do that. Even if all you do is watch like that hour and a half summary that I described when we were talking to Lucas about it, like where it's just like a description of the story. Even if all you do is just watch that and then play Alan Wake 2, do that. Like, play this game. So
is a neat video game.
I reviewed it on Backlog, and surprise, surprise, I gave it 5 stars.
Shocking, I know.
Remedy don't miss.
Remedy do not miss.
Does not seem to miss. So, anyways, that's my little bit about this game.
Yeah.
All right. I'll get to it. I will. I swear. I'll reinstall the Epic Games Store, I guess.
Pain.
So,
speaking of things that were not painful, I played Cocoon.
Hey.
That game rules.
Yes, it does.
Seems to be the consensus.
That game is so good. So I got to preview that game for IGN a few months ago, and I had not gotten to sit down and play the whole thing because I was reviewing it for anybody, and it was a busy time of year, and I was working on a bunch of other stuff. But I actually got to sit down and play it, and I think I played the whole game in 2 days. It's not super long. I think it's like maybe 5 hours or so, but I did everything there was to do aside from the secret ending. But I found all the collectible stuff, and man, that's a really good game. That is a game that does a lot to tell you a story without anybody talking.
Yep. I talked about that, on the show. Yeah. There's no words, and it tells you a pretty good story.
Yeah, it's I respect stuff like that because it allows me to just kind of like shows you stuff, and it's like, all right, figure it out, and then you figure it out, and you're like, oh, that's cool. Or like you have like your theory, and then hey, guess what? Your theory wasn't correct, but now you know this other thing, which is even cooler.
Yeah. So,
and it keeps doing that until the end, and it keeps like doing these really brain twisty things until the end. But the last few puzzles, I actually had to have a little help on because I was like, wait, you want me to put this in that, and then put this in that in that?
Dude, that was I was like, wait, I wonder if I can. Oh my god, I can't. Like, it's difficult to make good puzzles. It's even harder to make good puzzles that make you feel like a genius when you figure out the actual solution.
Yeah, and every time
Cocoon does that all the time.
Yeah, Outer Wilds does that. Talos Principle does that, which is a game I've talked about here. Cocoon does that all the time, and the thing that is really cool about Cocoon is it doesn't cheat. like once it shows you a mechanic, that is the way the mechanic works. It's never like that is the way the mechanic works in this certain scenario. It is this is the way the mechanic works.
Yeah.
And there's like, there's wrinkles like, hey, we're going to add this environmental factor thing to it, but the mechanic always works a specific way. And because of that, and the other cool thing is like you never really as a character like gain the ability to do new things. You gain orbs that can do new things.
Yeah.
But you as the player cannot do stuff without the orb. Or the orbs. So it's really clever to create like a very specific and honestly fairly simple series of rules, and then just be like, look at all the ways we can play with these rules.
Yeah.
And all the cool shit we can do by adding this little
Mario,
wrinkle.
actually.
Yeah, it's very Nintendo game design, right? Where it's like, we're going to show you this thing, and then we're going to take it to like its logical endpoint, and then you're not going to see it anymore. Although I think because of the runtime, you see stuff throughout the game, but like it never feels like it's straining or...
They bring it back for a final exam, but other than that, it's like, you've learned this, so it's good.
Yeah. There is a final exam, but like it never feels like it overstays its welcome. Like I was ready for the game to end at the point at which it ended, and it did a good job of ending at that point. And did some neat stuff. I don't know. I think it's I don't know, everything about it, like it's beautiful. It has amazing music, really smart puzzle design. Like some of the when I was playing it, I was like, man, I want to know what the meetings were for like the design of this game. Where it was like, what if we did this? Like, how do you come up with that?
So many fly in the wall moments.
Yeah, like aside from like you have like a basic idea and then you iterate on it forever.
Will, how do you storyboard a game like this?
I don't know.
Like what?
I don't know.
And then you go there. Wait, which there?
Yeah. And the other thing, right, is that I think is really cool is and this is kind of like the opposite of the Baldur's Gate problem, right? Where like if I got into an orb and I couldn't go somewhere because it was like, oh, you don't have that ability, right? It's like clearly you need to interact with this thing, but you don't know how yet. It was very easy for me to remember where that was.
Yeah.
Or it was like, oh, I can't obviously like proceed normally in the outside world. Good joke, there is no outside world. But I can like go into an orb. So I have to figure out the right orb to go into. And then it's like, oh, I remember this part, right? And it builds this like very clear sense of progression, even though you backtrack a lot, right? Because it's like, oh, I didn't know about this, or I couldn't go here, or I couldn't do this thing. And I think that you get a really cool sense of progress because of that, because you're in the same areas, but you're seeing new things, and these abilities are stacking on top of each other and allowing you to do new stuff and progress in a way that doesn't feel like physically linear, but also feels like it couldn't happen any other way.
Yeah. It's very weird. And also like I like that kind of like made me think, how do I get out? There is no out. There's only in.
Yeah.
Like that,
right?
the thing with the thing with the dog and the ball. Like, no take, only throw.
Only throw.
Yeah, I didn't make outside before this. I made inside, damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, and by the end, when they're throwing like some of the later puzzles in where it's like, oh, I'm not where I thought I was. I'm actually here. Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
So it's, I think it's an incredibly clever game. I loved every second I spent with it. It is really, really, really easy to pick up and play, and I don't know. It's like I knew
it's still on Game Pass as well.
Yes, it is. That's where I played it. From when I previewed it, I knew it was going to be something really cool, and it was also like when you have a game like that, you're like, how do you have enough ideas for your whole runtime? And there were enough ideas there, and they didn't, it didn't wear itself out. So I think that's a really important skill for a game like that to have. But I highly, highly, highly recommend Cocoon.
Oh man, that reminds me. I need to get back to Humanity.
Yeah, to anybody who is maybe thinking about it and hasn't played it yet, it is a very, very good game, and it's it's only like 6 hours long. Yeah, 6 hours.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Really good. Kris, you want to go or shall I go?
You can go. Go for it.
All right. So this will be
What
quick.
you got for us?
This will be quick, but on my lovely Analogue Pocket, which I've outfitted with cores to match all the systems that I loved growing up, and with the games that I played growing up, I've been revisiting some games that I've had, but haven't really spent that much time with. One is Pokemon Yellow, although I am not that far in there because that's always going to be there when I'm ready for it. But what did
I am surprised your battery still works, that you can save.
Well, it wouldn't.
Can you save?
It wouldn't matter because the Pocket has save states.
Oh, see, I haven't played with mine yet. I also have one. I have the blue one.
Yeah, so
because my Game Boy Pocket was blue.
Yeah, so there are saves that you can do like in the regular game, but the Pocket also has save states. So when you hit the analog button and up on the D-pad, that will create a save state. And I think you can create like over 200 of them before they start to replace themselves.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it's fucking sick. And you can take screenshots and all kinds of stuff. And it takes a screenshot when you save state, so you can go back through and like you can know,
get a rough idea of where you're at,
where you were, which came into play when I was playing a little game called Work. Hold on, we're gonna see it load up, and I'm gonna zoom in on it. Let's see if you guys can see what this game is.
I see that you smudged the shit out of that screen.
That happens to the best of us.
It load.
Almost done loading.
Can you tell what that is? Wait, hold on.
Forest. It's a forest.
There we go.
It's Final Fantasy 4? Is it 4?
Nope.
It's only getting blurry.
I don't know what it is, Brian.
It's Final Fantasy 2. From Final Fantasy Dawn of Souls. It is one of 2 Final Fantasy games that I have not played. So I have not played Final Fantasy 2, and I have not played Final Fantasy 3. And before you ask, no, not American Final Fantasy 2 and 3, actual Final Fantasy 2 and 3.
We're past that point of history. Stop asking that.
We're not past that point of history because one of the guys in my band asked me about that. I was like, oh, I love 2. Mm-hmm. Cecil is the boy. And I'm like, no, not Cecil. Firion and Maria and Guy. And let me tell you, my daughter loves Firion and Maria and Guy. She was laying down on my lap on the couch and is like, I want Maria to do magics. I want Maria to do lightning magics. And I was like, all right, we'll do some lightning magics. And then I just kind of showed her how things work and actually used the magic system to explain why she needs to go to sleep at night. Because, when you run out of magic, you got to go to sleep and get your magic back. And you gotta get your strength back.
You're not sleeping well enough. That's why you can't do spells right now. So.
Yeah.
Yes.
But she likes to run around and do activities all day and then not go to sleep because she wants to do more activities. Does it sound like anybody you know on this show? But who wants to experience all the things and never wants to stop and just run.
You see these rings under my eyes?
Yeah. But so that was a great jumping off point to be able to explain like. We need to rest because that's going to give us energy to explore things tomorrow. We got to start thinking about the future. But anyways, I've been playing Final Fantasy 2. I'm like 6 or 7 hours in, and it's totally grabbed me. Oh man, Siggy bringing it back to D&D. You can't stop me in my cantrips. I'll long rest when I want to. Yeah.
Listen, sometimes your cantrips are good enough.
It's very. Hey, if your name is
5th ed, yeah.
If your name is Will, and your cantrips are called Eldritch Blast, they're good enough. You don't need to long rest.
Say the line, Warlock. I cast Eldritch Blast. Yay!
Yay!
I love Will. He's perfect. He doesn't get the respect he deserves.
Dude, he's
a very good
awesome
character. Yeah,
I love him. But he really
Had a
needs
complete
to
rework
understand,
from the early access, funnily enough.
He really needs to understand that no means no.
Listen, he was not coming on to me like that, but I've also made it very clear that I'm Team Karlach or bust. Or, I guess I should say, Team Karlach or we both die in an inferno.
Team Karlach and bust.
Yeah, Team Karlach and... we're going to get there, but right now it's a dangerous proposition.
Yeah.
The fear of something bad happening, like there's always a little bit of risk when you get into a relationship. This is a very real danger. Like you may spontaneously combust.
It burns when I pee.
I was going to go there, but I also didn't want to go there.
Yeah, well.
We all thought about it.
I thought about it, and then I was like, you know what? There could be children.
Hey, you know earlier when you said don't act like you wouldn't have made that joke? Now we know. I would have.
Hours later, the joke came back.
It is.
I'm glad that I was proven right, but also sad in the way in which I was proven right.
Yes, but it was gonna happen. So, but yeah, so I've been having a blast. I am surprised. I'm surprised the ways in which the team at Square has already, even from Final Fantasy 1 to 2, like had such a strong departure to even just how the game works.
Yeah,
it's really, really interesting.
The series constantly iterates.
Yeah, because in 2 there's literally no stats, or there are stats, but like you don't level up.
You don't level up in the traditional fashion. It's Skyrim leveling, basically. Learn by doing.
If you want to go further back than that, it's Dungeon Siege leveling. So,
I love Dungeon Siege. What a classic.
Hell yeah, dude. Will, a man of taste yet again?
I love Dungeon Siege.
God, that game was so good. You become like a nature mage or a combat mage, and then you just use it, and it just gets better.
Oh my god,
that shit was hype. I loved that.
We should play Dungeon Siege. Dungeon Siege rules.
Dungeon Siege and Dungeon Siege 2. I wonder.
I don't think I ever got to play that much of it. So
I had those physical, so I don't actually know if I still have them. Because I don't have them.
I think they're on Steam and they're like $2. So
yeah, they're $2 on Steam. I think Good Old Games also has them.
Oh hell yeah, I'll buy that shit.
Hey, I know they're on Steam. Unsure about Good Old Games, but
yeah. That was an old Microsoft Steam powered game or whatever.
Gas powered games, baby.
Gas powered games, yeah. Good stuff, man. Dude, you know what, Will? Every time I think you've just totally screwed up, you totally redeem yourself. I forget what the actual line is, but
I'll take it.
Anyways,
I'll take it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I can't wait to open my. I've opened my pocket, but I haven't put anything in it yet. I'm trying to figure out what is the game I break this in with, and it might be Fire Emblem 7.
What do you christen it with? Fire Emblem 7's a good op. I'd probably do Golden Sun just because of my history with that game.
I actually have a physical copy of Golden Sun. I never owned it. I borrowed it from a friend. Got I feel like I got almost 10 hours in. And I got past the first dungeon, and then I went out into the world, got a couple more, 1 or 2 more gins, and then my buddy wanted his game back, so I never actually got to finish it. But I got one of my recent friends that I made was like, I got all this Game Boy Advance stuff. I don't want it. Do you just want it? And he just gave it all to me. And in there, he had a copy of Golden Sun, and I was like, hell yeah.
Very nice.
So I have it, so I can actually play through it now. But
if you didn't, I would have sent you mine, because I think it's for the wrong region of system anyway. So
oh, shit. Yeah, but
there you go. Well, I don't have a copy, Kris, if you want to get rid of it.
Oh, we'll send it to you. Yeah, sure.
Hell yeah. I was also going to say, hey man, I don't know what you guys are talking about. This Wizard game seems pretty good, because he also gave me the Game Boy Color Harry Potter and the the second one.
Okay.
Which are supposed to be
real
pretty
talk.
Good.
Those are actually really good.
Yeah.
They're actually JRPGs.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, really you know what the play might be, Brian, and you will appreciate this, I think, more than most people. Dragon Ball Z: The Legacy of Goku 2, baby.
Dude,
that might be the play.
He gave me a copy of that. I have a copy of that too. He gave me this whole thing where it was I got backyard football. I got an NHL game. I got like Mario Kart, Super Track.
I
Super
love finding
Sport,
old treasure like that.
something like
Yeah.
that. Those like Dragon Ball Z: The Legacy of Goku. It might just be the first one.
The second one is better.
Yeah.
Second one is significantly better.
And then like Pokemon Yellow, and then like a bunch of other games. I'll have to, next show, I'll get them all together, and we can just kind of like poke through and see what sort of gems we've got. Because
Assemble the gauntlet.
have not really looked that much at it, but having that sort of a thing has been really cool. Also being able to install cores for the Magnavox Odyssey 2, because this supports that, which was actually my first console ever that I ever had. So I'm going to track down, and there aren't that many games that were made for that system. So I'm going to try to track down some of those games. That system, I'm not sure how it's going to do, because that system also had like a keyboard built into it. But then it was a joystick and one button for like a lot of games. So there was one game that I specifically remember where you're a spaceship and you're flying like left to right. And then there are astronauts trapped in like little purple crystals that you rescue. And
Defender?
I don't know.
I think that's Defender.
But yeah, there's it's really fun. I have a lot of nostalgia for that. And then of course being able to play NES, Super NES games, Game Boy through Color and Advance. Like, it's just very, very cool. There are a lot more cores than that. And I've also thought that because I think this will play Game Gear stuff. Like, this could also be an avenue through which I could actually explore Sega, because I never had a Sega system growing up, and I never knew.
Oh, dude, Game Gear, man.
I never knew anybody who had Sega stuff either. Apart from like, there was one buddy that I had.
Do you see the Dreamcast in its place of honor right there?
Yeah. Yeah, so like
Dreamcast is a different story. That's one thing. A Game Gear is a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Listen, the Game Gear was just a portable Dreamcast, if we're being honest. The vibe is similar.
So yeah, so I other than like Streets of Rage, which I've recently come to love, and like Sonic, which I've played like once or twice, I really have no idea of what's good on Sega. So if people have advice on like stuff that I can play on this thing on Sega, like, I'm happy to do that, because I've explored Nintendo things. I've explored the Nintendo handhelds like thoroughly. So
I'm gonna hit you with a list of some Game Gear classics, my friend.
Hell yeah, dude!
Hit me with that as well. I'm curious as well.
Yeah, I've got some. I never owned one, but one of my best friends did, and so I played a ton of Game Gear. One of these days, I'm gonna go buy one, or at least buy some cartridges and put them in my analog.
Yeah, I was about to say, you don't need a Game Gear because you've got a Pocket.
It's true, but I kind of like having the original hardware. You know, the emulate. I mean, it's great. Like, it's great, but part of me just wants to have a Game Gear so I can hold it in my hand.
We like the tactile feel of things. We get it.
Yeah.
I will say though, having something that actually, like, doesn't emulate but is actually the hardware has been crazy, because there are games where I'm playing it and the game would have had slowdown and the game has slowdown, and I'm like, what is happening? Like, it's so crazy to be. And I got the dock actually as well. I got the dock, and then you can pretty seamlessly sync up like a DualShock 4 or an Xbox One or Series controller with it, and then you can just be playing in like fucking 4K or some shit like on the screen, and it looks like immaculate. And then if you're playing something,
I need to get a dock.
If you're playing, like, they're expensive. They're like $90, but it's worth it, I think. But the like, I'm playing like Pokemon Yellow on the big screen, and if you hit the analog, like the home button, and then right on the D-pad, it will switch filters, and it'll either be like crystal clear, no anything, or it'll like recreate the original visual, complete with like scan lines.
CRT scan lines and shit.
It actually replicates each like tricolor pixel. So if you look really close to it, you can see the little like things that you would see on your CRT. It's fucking madness.
Does it have a Super Game Boy filter though? That's the question.
Yes, and
Nice.
there's a Super Game Boy core that you can run on it as well.
That's awesome. My first experience with Pokemon was a friend of mine playing it on his SNES. So yeah.
And I had a Super Game Boy as well. That's where I spent a lot of time. Like I would basically just like pull it out of my Game Boy and pop it in there and then play that in the workout room. We had a really weird setup where like the TV where I had my Super Nintendo was in the workout room. So I would have to sit on the leg press machine and like play. And then I was like, well, I might as well like do leg presses while I was sitting here. And then I think
never skip leg a day.
I was in like middle school or like early high, like a freshman in high school. And I was like leg pressing like 300 pounds just cause I was like, I might as well.
What you did while you're playing video games. Might as well. It's right.
Yeah.
But that was fun. When I weighed like $125, if that, you know, but yeah, anyways, I fucking love this thing. It's so great. Like it's gotten to the point
I need
where
to
like
get my hands on one, frankly.
I used to take my Switch with me everywhere I went. And now I just slip my pocket in my pocket and go. And, you know, I actually discovered some old games that I hadn't played in a while. There's one game I used to play on Game Boy called, I think it's called The Incredible Crash Test Dummies. And it's like a completely fucking idiotic game where you play like the old, like Crash Test Dummies. And like the first like stage is you jump off of a building and you have to smash as many awnings and like balconies on the way down as you possibly can, and then land on the bullseye. And then there's
like the precursor to Angry Birds or some shit.
Kind of, yeah. But then depending on how well you do, you earn more money, and then like that's kind of like your high score and stuff. But it was very crazy to like go back and be like, oh my God, I can't believe that I'm playing this, you know. Or like the Mega Man games that are like mashups of like Mega Man 1 and 2, Mega Man 2, like 3 and 4 or whatever, you know.
Oh yeah, the Mega Man Extreme, I think.
I think they're just called like Mega Man 1, Mega Man 2, but it's not NES Mega Man 2. It's like
there were like altered ports, but there was, I think on the Game Boy Color there was something called like Mega Man Extreme,
there's also
Mega Man which Extreme, was like the X remakes,
yeah,
or mashups of sorts. And I remember those. Those are really cool.
And then there's also like Final Fantasy Legend 1, Final Fantasy Legend 2, which are like just totally different games. It's real weird.
They're actually the Saga games, or what would later become known as that, which, you know, they play closer to Final Fantasy 2 in that with that leveling up system, and then they kind of split that off into its own thing.
Yeah. Anyways, it's been an absolute delight. So I you know, I don't know. I don't really have anything else to say about it.
Who needs these new games? We got all these ancient history that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of contributes to like, you know, what's been going on. Like I've been on vacation. So I've just been chilling and playing games and running around and enjoying the cold when it's been cold. And then just kind of like, you know, watching like it's very, I think Audrey was like, we were talking about this, like you just opened your presents. You got a Duncan Yo-Yo, Spider-Man comics, and a yellow kind of Game Boy. You're playing Pokemon Yellow. The year is
1999.
The year is 2023, and you are 40 years old. Life is good, you know. And all of that is true. Like I got a fucking Yo-Yo and Spider-Man comics for Christmas, you know, which is like I didn't think that would be hype, but like I remembered how much fun I had like doing Yo-Yo when I was growing up. So, anyways,
hey, why not?
Why not? But yeah.
Adulthood just means you can choose to indulge yourself in stupid childish shit.
It's true.
And have a great time with it.
And then also, my brother-in-law got me the complete box set of Seinfeld, and my wife has been watching Batman the Animated Series. So it's like,
both very good, yeah.
We are really just leaning back into it. So, also I put my pocket in this. My little Game Boy pouch.
The fanny pack.
So, yeah. But anyways, I've been having a blast, and it's definitely led to a going on vacation was good. Taking a little break from the podcast was good. I've definitely been like, I'm gonna play what I feel like playing in a way that I haven't in a long time, and it's been nice, which is what I was alluding to before before we started, which is that
Yes.
I'm just like, I'm not really chasing anything. I'm just like kind of enjoying being in the moment. So
The vibe.
We vibe.
Oh my dear Lord goodness. I think that is, I played River City Girls 2 a little bit, but not that much. So I'm not really going to try to.
That's funny because I played River City Girls 0.
Hey.
But I also don't have enough time with it to have like significant thoughts.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I've mainly
Put a
been
pin in that. We'll come back later.
I've mainly been playing Granblue and Final Fantasy 2, and then Alan Wake before I finished it. So that's pretty much all I got. Kris, did you have something else you wanted to touch on before we wrap up, or Will, either way?
I'm good.
I got two things that I can touch on very briefly. So the first is that I finished Persona 5 Tactica.
Yay!
So last time there was a plot twist that I sat there and went, hang on a second, isn't this victim blaming a little bit? And had the conversation with
Did it get
Brian
better?
Lucas about it. Kind of, like they did eventually get past that point, but then shortly thereafter there was like the emotional climax of the game, basically the end of effectively like the third kingdom, whatever. Ends on a really high note, ends on what I thought was going to be the final boss. I'm like, yeah, that was good. And then again, to use a Persona 5 analogy, it's like, yeah, cool, you beat Shido. Now you got to go to the bottom of Mentos. So it's like, okay, cool. But that wasn't nearly as good as the Persona 5 equivalent. The last area is very dry and gray and orderly because...
And then if you're playing Persona 5 Royal, there's more after that.
There's more after that too, but even without touching on that. But yeah, the last chapter doesn't hit nearly as hard, I don't think. The final boss is cool. I don't really vibe with the overall sentiment and such of it, but like by that point, the emotional climax and through line was done. So it's more just, take a victory lap. But then the final cutscene of like how they beat it is really cool, animated really well. And then the overarching conclusion of what happens when all this wraps up and the finale with the characters and such ends on a really good note. I'm like, this satisfies me. I am satisfied with this. So yeah. Good game. Overall, quite good game. Few little iffy things, again, just little Atlas moments and such, but overall when it gets good, it gets really good. And yeah, I enjoy the puzzle-like strategy aspect of the game, and yeah, it was really solidly done. Very good little spin-off and such. Always good to vibe with these characters again. So yeah,
Nice.
Yeah,
good times.
5, a pretty solid cast. Pretty solid.
For sure,
Yes.
for sure.
Good stuff. What's the last thing you had?
I go back into Warframe. So if either of you ever played Warframe?
I have. It is not for me.
That is fair. So
I played it a little bit.
I dig it, but I can't do that and Diablo and fighting games, and it's just
it is a commitment. I get it. It's one of those games where you can play quite a bit and fuck around with it, or just you to put it like a full-time game kind of thing. It's like, yeah, I've done that at parts of my life, back and forth. The last time I played it was last December, January. Honestly, I played quite a bit with a friend for a couple of weeks and months leading up to that, and then I just kind of put it down for a bit. It's like, yeah, I've accomplished what I want to do for now. And yeah, and then on a whim, new updates and such came out, and friends are like, hey, you want to go back and play it? And we're like, yeah, I do. So been getting back into that, and then it's the only thing that has pulled me from Heroes of the Storm, because I haven't played Heroes of the Storm in nearly a week because I've been playing Warframe instead. So it's like, there we go. But yeah, I am playing through Warframe again. I haven't done the latest set of quests, main quests or anything that they've added with the newest update. I'm waiting until all my friends are like roughly at the same point so we don't leave anyone behind. I've been doing the update before that, which came out like, I want to say April 2023-ish. basically added like a roguelite mode in the game, and that's actually really fun. My friend of mine have just been, blasting that for a couple of days and having a ball with it. But yeah, Warframe, it's fast, it's fun, it's chaotic, it's got insane amounts of grind, but the grind is itself super fun because you're a fucking space ninja and you have a ton of weapons and abilities and crazy shit, and I dig it. It's always a lot of fun to play. So I've been doing that.
Neat.
Nice. Yeah, I don't understand it, but Joshua Mobley, former co-host of the Platforms podcast, plays Warframe and Diablo 4 and Path of Exile. And I'm like, bro, how do you...
If I play one of those, I put the other down. I could not play those, and unless I fully expected, I am not playing anything else. I am not playing, P5 Tactica. I am not playing Rogue Trader or anything like that. It's like them or bust. I don't know how you do it.
So Yelim in the chat says, Deviri paradox as summed up by me, quote, why did we make our own souls like as a patch? Why isn't this its own thing?
Yeah, straight up. It's like a slower, more tactical combat with, feeling vaguely Souls-like, but not quite, and then roguelite power such. And it's like, this could be its own game, but it's just another mode, which effectively adds yet another genre to Warframe, which at this point collects them like fucking Pokemon. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of like what the Ghost of Tsushima team did, where it was like that like
Legends was a lot like that.
Is like good enough to be its own thing, but they're just like, here, just have it for free.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Naughty Dog is over here like, we can't get factions published.
Yeah, it's like we spent all this time and effort making it the best thing it could be and didn't get it, so we're not doing anything. It's like, just release what you got. Just release the basics. I don't believe Naughty Dog when they say that. It's like, it was probably way further back than they're implying. If they can't even just get a basic mode out,
Well, either that or Sony's going to be like, well, we can't like write this off or whatever.
Yeah. Probably.
Which is like the fucking flavor of the week with executives nowadays.
2023 layoffs.
Yeah. Layoffs, write-offs, all that sort of shit. Like we're getting to the point, not to get too like existentially like depressed or whatever, but we're getting to the point where like they can't make the line go up unless they do really heinous stuff. So they're gonna start doing really heinous stuff until this is you knock Will down in the corner. He's gonna DP until you force him to stop. Until you block the DP and then just delete his health bar. This is what we're gonna have to do with executives in America. We are going to have to block that DP and be like, all right, now you die, and then maybe they'll stop doing it. But
yeah, you're gonna listen. You play against me, you're gonna get
ready.
You're gonna get very used to the volcanic viper animation.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Or I forget what it's called. It's got a German name in Granblue, the one that Siegfried has. But
I don't know.
It's like a way, 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 way better version of Vapor Thrust. Like what if Volcanic Viper was also Vapor Thrust and hit 3 times? Like,
yep,
bro.
So I'm not gonna lie, I know Siegfried is a completely different character, has different such, but every time you mention it for Granblue, I just picture Soul Calibur Siegfried.
He looks like Soul Calibur Siegfried.
Like, yeah.
I know, but I just picture it. I just picture him in all his 3D glory, just, beating the shit out of people with the Soul End.
Imagine Nightmare or Siegfried doing his big sweeping, like, over like that.
Yep.
But then jumping while he does it and hitting 3 times. And you'll have a really good idea of what it is.
Glorious.
It's unhinged. But at least one of my characters can parry it, which is pretty sick.
Very good. I do need to pick up Granblue. I enjoyed the time I had with it. What little there was.
Yeah, yes. Maybe let's play. But yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff.
Oh. Welcome to 2024, everybody. We're playing old games again.
We are. We're playing old games. We're playing new games. We're playing all the games.
It's true.
We're just warming up until January kicks off, because January and February are already stacked, and the ride never ends. But hey, Tekken's in there too, so that'll be fun.
Hell yes.
Tekken is in there. Tekken is in there. I need to talk to the people over there at Bandai Namco. Whew. Anyways, let's get out of here, guys. What a blessed episode.
Truly.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of The Platformers. If you have thoughts, topics, ideas, or you just want to chat with us, hit us up. We love talking to all of you. You can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky, on Twitter at Ribnax, Ribnax, and on Blue Sky and Backlogged at Brian Barnett, as well as twitch.tv/Ribnax, youtube.com/Ribnax, where you can watch the show live or on VOD. And if you want to see the stuff that I've got up, you can check out my preview for Terraceland on IGN, and I've got some interviews that are coming up in the near future, but they're not really ready to announce yet. But they will be fun. So yeah,
good stuff.
Kris, where can everybody find you?
You can find me at my website, vsthebacklog.com, versusthebacklog.com, one word. I am listed as Delphia on pretty much everything on the internet. That's EI, not IE. Hit me up. You can find me on Twitter at Delphia. Don't use it that much, but I'm there. So yes. And if you see me around, say hi. How about you, Will?
You can find me on Twitter at ByWillBurger. That's burger with an O, not a U. You can find me on Backlogged at Edgar Allan Bro, and you can find me on Blue Sky at Edgar Allan Bro. If you're looking to read the most recent stuff I've done, you can check out IGN.
Nice.
Good times.
If you like the show, please leave us a review or tell somebody about it. We do not advertise, so word of mouth is the only way that we grow. And we really appreciate all of you helping us out with this. From everybody here at The Platformers, we hope you have a wonderful week and stay safe out there. Because until next time, we are out.
Peace.
Peace.